On January 22nd, did you have a meeting with Detective Bueller to sort of brainstorm on this case?
Yes. Late that evening.
What was the purpose of the meeting that you had with Detective Bueller?
Well, while I was sitting at my desk trying to work through some of the evidence that we had, to attempt to determine the search location, and the best way to use the resources that I had for a search.
What did you and Detective Bueller come up with?
We came up with the idea that Laci Peterson's body would be found in San Francisco Bay.
How is it that you came up with that as a conclusion?
We made a list looking at reasons that she would be in San Francisco Bay, as opposed to reasons that she might be in lakes or other waterways.
And before we get into those specific reasons, let me ask you this question. Why is it that you at that point had the idea that she was going to be found in some body of water?
Because of the cement debris in the warehouse, the circles on the flatbed trailer in the warehouse, and the boat that he had in the warehouse that no one seemed to know about, except for the person that sold it to Mr. Peterson, Bruce Peterson, the defendant, and possibly Laci Peterson.
So this list that you came up with, what were the reasons that you came up with for why Laci Peterson would eventually be found in the bay?
Well, we looked at the fact that Mr. Peterson did have a parking stub from the Berkeley Marina that's dated 12/24, and the timing is consistent with his statement. The fact, maybe that's easier to explain later, so I'll move on. The cell sites at that point, which we had the cell site information, that showed his location on December 24th. And it did show that he did make phone calls from over in that area, and it did appear that he was there. The dog track at the Berkeley Marina that indicated that Laci Peterson's scent was there. The defendant told us that he was at the Berkeley Marina. He had a fishing license, 2-day fishing license that was purchased on December 20th, and filled out for the 23rd and 24th. The fishing tackle in the boat, at least the majority of the fishing tackle, if not all, was freshwater tackle. And on January 11th, on the wiretap, when everyone was waiting to see the side scan sonar image that eventually ended up being an anchor, what that was going to turn out to be. When Sharon Roca called him and left him a message, he retrieved it. And he whistled when he heard it was an anchor. At that point, he had also made 3 subsequent trips to the Berkeley Marina since the December 24th visit, which seemed odd. And it directed us back there. Another thing that we considered was the fact that we had witnesses saying on December 24th that when, right after the defendant found that his wife was missing from the house, that he had told people that he was golfing that day. And we considered that as possibly what his initial alibi was meant to be.
The initial alibi was golfing?
Yes.
Okay, at some point did you toy with the idea there might be a second, that the golfing might be an alibi for the fishing? Is that what you mean?
Well, what I mean is that it's possible that, because he told Amy Roca on the day prior he was going to be at Vela Farms, and he told some of the witnesses early on in the evening on the 24th that he had been golfing on the 24th. Initially his plan was to say that he was golfing on that day, and for no one to ever to know that he had the boat, or that he made the trip to the San Francisco Bay.
Okay. Next.
The fact that there were umbrellas in the back of his truck wrapped in the tarp, that those umbrellas are approximately the same height as Laci Peterson.
What conclusion did you draw from that? Why was that significant?
Why was that significant? Well, it would enable him to explain anyone seeing him load something in his truck.
Okay.
The fact that we had already conducted some searches of the lakes around bridges, and we had not found Laci up to that point. The fact that we tested the water in the bow of the boat, and it came back as salt water and not fresh water. Also, looking at the computer searches that we conducted of the defendant's computers at his shop, and the fact he was researching San Francisco Bay. In that, I have to add that he also had sites for fishing locations that were freshwater, and lakes throughout California, but San Francisco Bay. Berkeley Marina did appear in there as well. The fact that he didn't clean up the mess at the shop, and that led me to believe that he never intended for anyone to come back there and look at the boat.
Your next reason?
The fact that he made the phone call from, let me step back just a second. But the fact that he had really no activity on the phone that morning.
On December 24th?
On December 24th, and then after around 2 o'clock, when, by his statement he's leaving, he starts to make phone calls. And he leaves a message at the house that he's at the bay, or just fishing, and he's going to be late coming home. After that phone call, then he stops to get gas on his route back. But he buys $13 worth of gas. Which I think is not a significant amount of gas in the truck.
Okay. And your next reason for believing that Laci Peterson would turn up in the San Francisco Bay?
I have that there is deep water current nearby, where the map on his computer that he was looking at does show a deep water current.
All right. What's another reason?
What I have here is the fact that he paid cash for the boat, and he didn't register the boat.
Next reason?
The boat cover.
What was significant about the boat cover?
You have to ask why it's in the truck on the 24th in the evening. Did he take it to the bay? And, if so, why? Was it tied on the boat and covering the boat? Was it, if it was taken off the boat before he left, why not leave it in the warehouse? Why put it in the truck? Was he using the boat cover for some other purpose to cover something maybe in his boat? And then the fact that we find the boat cover in the shed on the search warrants on the 26th and 27th with a leaking gas blower on top.
Okay. And do you understand the condition of the boat cover at that time was neatly folded, or in some other condition?
It was not neatly folded.
What was another reason for your belief?
Looking at the driving Mr. Peterson was doing that was captured on the tracker in Bakersfield around the time of this anchor found at the bay, and when it's identified, it's erratic. It's just kind of strange.
All right, Detective Grogan, let me ask you this. How many total reasons did you come up with Detective Bueller, why you feel Laci Peterson would eventually turn up in the San Francisco Bay?
About 41.